Welcome into Point Blank, brought to you by Fitz Roofing. I'm Brandon Strange of Sports Map. That's Joel Blank of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5's show, The Killer Bees, which you can hear weekdays, noon on ESPN. Joel, welcome in. In an interview with The Athletic published just this week, Carlos Correa was quoted as saying that this would be his last year in Houston, that he wants to leave the organization with a second championship. We've been operating under the assumption that he'd be gone, but here it is for the first time in black and white from Correa himself. He says he expects to be gone next year. In the same week, we get news via James Click that Justin Verlander's doctor has advised against him returning this year. So those are two more vital pieces of that 2017 World Series team that are likely not coming back to the team. This is also Greinke's last year. How do you think all of these things impact James Click's priorities this offseason?
Well, I think it's interesting, Brandon, because it's a very saturated shortstop market. So it could be positioning, and it could be the fact that it's the counter blow that gets everybody to try and get on Correa's side if he can put it together another run, be a leader in the playoffs, have some big things happen, and have everybody start hammering the Astros and James Click and Jim Crane saying, you've got to re-sign this guy. I've been the guy all along that said, look, at the right price for the right amount of years, I'm okay with bringing back Carlos Correa. But if you don't, there's plenty of shortstops on the market. There's Trevor Story. There's Javi Baez. There's Seager with the Dodgers. There's lots of opportunities for shortstops. But let's also not forget, Alex Bregman played shortstop in college. Chris Bryant is the number 3 free agent on the open market, and he could play third base. You could do a lot of different things, a lot of shuffling the deck a lot of different ways, and you're going to be okay. I also said all along Justin Verlander wouldn't pitch another game this year for the Houston Astros because he's got too much to lose. He doesn't come back getting money he's already earned and you're going to get just to try and see where his arm's at, only to risk getting hurt again and now not be able to hit the open market to get one more contract with one more team with one more chance to win. So there's another thing that Houston Astros fans already had heard from me, but they're going to have to digest and get used to. But it's not the end of the world. You have solutions. You have a young starting pitching core that's under contract and under control by the team for many years to come. You have money to play with, as you mentioned, with all the contracts we're talking about. So whether it's Correa or another option at shortstop or even third base, you're going to be just fine because the rest of your core is intact. You have enough guys that are playing good baseball under contract that are going to be back for another year. And this Astros team, there's no reason to believe won't be back not only just for the end of this season, but next season as well.
I want to talk to you more about Justin Verlander, but before we do that, give us a word from Fitz Roofing.
We love Fitz Roofing because they're dedicated to the people of Houston, Texas, just like they're dedicated to us here at SportsMap. The main thing about Fitz Roofing is the fact that whether you're a business or a homeowner and you want to get a roof repair or a new roof done, there's only one place to go. It's Fitz Roofing because they have the best warranties in the business, the best ratings in the business, and they use the best product. And better than all of that, they come out and see what your problem is and tell you exactly what they can do for absolutely free. Nothing to charge you at all. You just make sure you make the appointment. They come out and tell you what they can do. Call them today, 832-521-3001. Fitz Roofing, making a difference, one home at a time.
Joel, do you think there's any chance that Justin Verlander comes back for a team-friendly deal, considering the fact that he hasn't been able to play for a large portion of his current deal?
I don't, Brandon. I think the thing that caught me was if you would have just said, do I think there's a chance Justin Verlander comes back? Absolutely. Do I think Verlander gives the Astros a hometown discount? I do not. It just doesn't seem the way that he operates. I think that he feels like he's earned every penny with the exception of maybe, and I don't know that he feels any remorse for just collecting a check for this last season, but he's also delivered when the Astros brought him in for what he was brought in to do, and that was to get that World Series. Now, going forward, he still wants to play for a winner. He wants to create his legacy. He'd love to get another ring, but he also wants to get that one more big payday. I don't know if the Astros are going to be willing to give it to him because they have a lot of good young arms. But if you go into the offseason and realize if you get his money back and you can't reach an agreement, if you get to do the same thing with Greinke, if Correa walks, you have options between the open market for position players and the fact that a Max Scherzer is going to be on the open market. Other starting pitchers are going to be available if you need that one horse that you want to rely on as an ace. So I think that the Astros don't have to press the panic button. And if the price isn't right with some of the guys that we're talking about, particularly Verlander and Correa, the options are still there to where they might not take a step back at all and won't miss a beat. It just might be with different players in different numbers in the same uniform trying to do things for your Houston Astros.
Another two guys that their futures are in question with the team are Brantley and Yuli Gurriel. They will both be free agents after next year. We do see, and you talked about this, we see the future of the team now in guys like Kyle Tucker, Chas McCormick, Yordan Alvarez, and now it looks like even a guy like Jake Myers could be the future of this team. With a young team built around veterans like Altuve, Bregman, and McCullers, and maybe another free agent that would come in to replace any of these outgoing guys, how confident are you that they can stay competitive, especially considering that we could very well see turnover in the managerial figures as well?
Yeah, I don't think the manager factors in because no matter, you would think that when James Click got the job, because he wasn't able to pick this manager, you got to believe that there was going to reach a time where he wanted to get his own guy in there, and that's another story for another day. I think in terms of the roster, the fact that you keep that core together and they're still relatively young, the fact that Altuve's still producing at a high level, Bregman, besides the injury, still looks like he hasn't missed a beat, and he'll be fine offensively. McCullers is a guy that actually has gotten better coming off Tommy John surgery as he's pitched more this season. Those guys are going to be just fine. When you look at a Brantley, he's got 1 year left, as you mentioned, and he seems to like it here. And he likes the relative anonymity with the media, but he can do what he does, which is hit the baseball. And he probably, if they're willing to give him another contract in that same ballpark of around 16 a year, might even come back for a year or two after that. Yuli's a guy more long in the tooth, a little bit older, a guy that a year ago we thought was done, and he's had a resurrection, and he's leading the team, leading the American League in hitting as we speak. But how long can he continue to do that? Yuli's a guy that he likes the environment, he likes the clubhouse. I think you'll get him on short-term deals to hang around and see on a year-to-year basis where he's at. And if they're willing to both agree on that, he'll be fine too. But you're not looking long-term with him. Brantley could give you a couple more years. The window for this team, conceivably in my mind, is in that 3 to 5 year range, but I'm leaning more towards 3 right now. But there are solutions if those guys aren't the answer as you get past 3 years.